Said, son, I've made a life out of reading people's faces, knowing what the cards were by the way they held their eyes.
Week 5 college football. Here we go. Ramblin' Rhinos college football week 5 review. Interesting week in college football. If it was horse racing, I guess you'd say it's a 2-horse race. It looks like Alabama and Clemson have distanced themselves from the rest of the pack. Alabama used to be they would get up by 28 or so and kind of cruise control, but not anymore. Since the Vanderbilt game, Vanderbilt called them out, and they punched them right in the mouth and then stepped in the throat. Did the same with Ole Miss this weekend, rolled up big points. Clemson did the same. Every week, I think somebody wants to see if Clemson can be tested for one reason or another. Looked a little sluggish against Boston College. Going to Blacksburg, folks thought they might let down or something, but that's not the case. Kelly Bryant's way better than most people thought he was. Definitely than I thought he was. I thought there'd be some kind of drop-off from Deshaun Watson. I'm not sure there is. You got 4 running backs, a bunch of skill position guys. Clemson and Alabama have the best depth that I've seen in college football in a long time from top to bottom. So Alabama and Clemson are 1 and 2. Penn State looked pretty good again. Saquon Barkley kickoff led the game off with a kickoff return for touchdown, threw a touchdown. Didn't rush it for 56 yards, but still had 226 or something total yards. Solid Heisman front runner. Penn State looks good. Georgia went to Tennessee, which is not as impressive as maybe years past, but winning 41-0. Another really solid performance from Kirby Smart's Georgia Bulldogs. I think they're a contender. They're my number 4 team in the playoff right now. I think they could go 12-0 and lose to Alabama and still get in. They do face Auburn at the end of the season, near the end of the season. That could be a test. Auburn's playing some really good football right now. They lost the second week to Clemson, struggled with Mercer, but that defensive front solid is just about anybody, and Stidham's getting a little more comfortable in the offense. So we'll see about that. Oklahoma was off, so USC lost on Friday night to Washington State. The Pac-12 was Oregon and Southern Cal, and we thought both of those teams might have a shot. Oregon loses last week to Arizona State. Southern Cal loses to Washington State, which Washington State's solid, I guess, and middle teens maybe. That leaves Washington for the Pac-12, and they're fool's gold. And we saw what happened last year when they played Alabama. They got shredded. They'd get beat even worse this year. Looking down the list of teams, LSU's one that's embarrassing. They wanted to keep Coach Orgeron for whatever reason. He's shit the bed everywhere he's been. He's a solid coordinator and recruiter, which is the same you can say for a lot of guys. He's not. He's a better Indian than he is Chief. They're gonna have to do something. Ohio State beat Rutgers 56-0. We'll have to see when they get back into conference play. We'll see how well they are. Oklahoma State, I think, is another team that's fool's gold. I thought they were solid. They beat a average Texas Tech team by 7, gave up 34. Oklahoma could beat them, and hell, they could lose a couple more games in Big 12 play. They're definitely fool's gold. A weird team, San Diego State. They're probably better than half the Pac-12 right now, but they're not a contender. They got a solid running back who's probably 1 or 2 in the Heisman running right now, but other than that, they're not much to speak about. Locally, South Carolina, shit the bed again. Defense played all right, not too bad. Offense just isn't clicking. Offensive line's hurt. Not able to run the ball. Bentley still missing passes. Like I said, defense played all right. I don't have a problem with the defense giving up points. Offense should be able to score some points. Couldn't run the ball, and then in turn couldn't get the passing game going. Missed another field goal. 3-2 after 5 games isn't the worst. Got Arkansas coming here this week. They could win that game. They could beat Vanderbilt, Wofford, Tennessee. There's a bunch of options to get you to 6. 6 or 7 is probably a reasonable goal right here, even though I think they can compete in all the games. I just don't know if they can seal the deal. Offense has got to get better. Going through the list, nothing really stands out. Wisconsin wins again. That Big 12. The Big 12 ended up taking care of itself with Ohio State, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And then, of course, Penn State. Florida State came back and beat Wake Forest. That was a tight game right there, and that would have been terrible for Florida State, who plays Miami this week, if they'd have went 0-3. They're not that great. ACC's pretty much a one-horse race. As much as everybody wants to say the SEC's just Alabama or just Alabama and Georgia, there's really not any conference that's got two really good stud teams right now. As much as we thought Oklahoma and Oklahoma State were, Oklahoma State's not. As much as we wanted to say the Big Ten, we don't know about. Pac-12, definitely not. ACC's Clemson, and Clemson alone by a long shot. I don't think any of those other teams are even that good. Louisville's not good. Florida State's obviously not good, especially with losing their quarterback. So, it's a 6-team race right here. TCU in the Big 12 may be the team that could throw a wrench and monkey wrench in the playoffs if everything stays like it is. I don't know what you do with them. They play West Virginia this week. And they'll have some tests. Them are Oklahoma State. They'll knock each other out, I'm sure. Other than that, new power rankings. I'm going to keep Alabama up there. They hadn't played the competition Clemson has, but they hadn't struggled either. It's 1A and 1B with me, though, because Clemson is deserving. So 1A, 1B, all Alabama and Clemson. And then I guess I'll put Penn State at 3. I really like Georgia. I'm going to put them at 4, and I'll put Oklahoma at 5. And like I said, all these teams will have a time to prove themselves. But right now, that's my top 5. Talk to you later.
Cards were by the way they held their eyes. So if you don't mind my saying, I can see you're out of aces for a taste of your